long day of WCS Challenger, and here we are in our final series for Group A. We are going to be hopping into our last series in just a little bit, but I want to remind you guys that there are other StarCraft events and other esports events going on. Not only, of course, is there GSL that happened last night, is going to be happening in the future, as you guys can see on the little thing over on this side. I don't know if it's actually on my left. This is. It looks like it's your right. Your
left, yeah.
Yeah, my left, your right. I'm not as smart as Day 9, so I can't do it on the fly like you did at E3. But I'm joined by Nathanius.
So,
how you feeling about this next match?
pretty good. I expect to see some good play out of Kane. I like Kane a lot. Kane used to be a very good friend of mine before he disappeared into the abyss of the real world. But, yeah, Zeal has been playing some pretty crazy styles. Very flimsy, I think. Depending on how solid Kane brings it out, he should be okay.
Yeah.
Players like No Regret, you know, when you're specialized in that, oftentimes playing against people who do weirder stuff than you that counters cheese stuff is very difficult.
Yeah, I think that's a very accurate description. And a lot of the ways that Zeal was playing, it's like it's the styles that are really effective when you're playing ladder games.
Yes.
But when it comes to a tournament series and you're playing best of threes and stuff, that's where Zeal definitely will end up struggling a little bit more. You guys can see we've had a long and arduous journey throughout the day. We finally did start getting a couple of those 2-1s. We got 2 of them, in fact,
Nice.
on top of the 1 that we got in Europe. But here we are in our last series. We're going to find out if this is going to be a 2-1, a 2-0, or, Nate, heaven forbid, no, it's an 0-2, I guess.
I mean, you know, the meme is that we just say that if there's a draw and it's 3-1 or something, or 2-1-1, 2-1-1.
2-1-1.
It's not turn versus Earth. Sorry, guys, it's not possible. But we're going to start on Catalyst. I mean, this map, nothing surprising here. Kane, I think he's really good. I think that we're seeing flashes. That series against Masa is much better than Kane. Masa should beat Kane every time, but Kane played extremely well, and I think is playing to the expectation of his old reputation, which was one of the top Zergs in NA. So let's see if he can continue that path onward. Him making it to this playoff bracket would be pretty sick, but it would be pretty sick for Zeal too, considering that he is he's also a much lesser known player that doesn't really make it far in these tournaments.
Yeah, I mean, he's made a couple of runs, but it was a long time ago. Actually, in a weird way, both of these players are from a different era in having coming back, but definitely this guy has made a little bit less of a name for himself back in the day. Spawning up here in the top left, we have our blue Protoss player. It is Zeal. I would also say he stayed a little bit more active than his opponent.
Yeah. His opponent in the southeast, the Red Zerg player, he is Kane. Kane's great, though.
He's a very fun guy at events. I especially love.
In his heyday, he was the guy that would give you crap on ladder, and he would talk smack, but he wasn't like the super aggro, you know, like the guy, like the barcode who cheeses you and then tells you unspeakable things. He was more like he would kill like one of your first units or something and then like make a joke about it, you know, like get a little bit in your head, kind of like a Canadian Stefano sort of.
Yeah, he's also just a little bit unabashed on Twitter at times. Sometimes, you know, he would do what I would call getting into chill fights where he kind of says something that quite frankly is a bit of a call out, but the way that he'll say it sounds so innocent or like so normal. And it's just like, I don't think that you're being super aggressive right now. I think you're just saying what you actually think. But that's really, that's like kind of calling someone out right now, man. And he's like, yeah, I don't really care. And he's like, okay, that's fair.
He doesn't censor himself very much, but yeah.
He's a really fun guy, though. If you ever get a chance to hang out with him at an event, I think those are actually some of my favorite memories from like old WCS Toronto and stuff.
It would be so nice for Kane to start making it out to these events. How cool would it would be really cool to hang with Kane in the
Well, you know, there is an opportunity here for him to try and make it out some of these events if he does well enough in this challenger.
Yeah.
That's one of the cool things.
Challenger provides a great foundation for a lot of these lower players to get some more exposure that we don't really get to see as much. And I don't mean to call Kane a lower player, but he's been away from the game long enough that it clearly shows he's not quite up to his old pace
He's at least
yet.
Unproven for a while now. And last season of Challenger didn't go quite so well. He was saying before that he was feeling a lot better about this season of Challenger, and he's not feeling quite as nervous because it hasn't been as long now since he's competed, since he did have a few chances. But I like this opening from Zeal. This is going to be playing a little bit more toward the Zeal that I know, and I think I've seen him play really well in PvZ in the past. So he goes up for the Twilight Council before the Stargate. He gets up a Stalker to deny the Overlord Scout, or at least soften it up a little bit, but he does not have a full wall up here, and oh my god, the Lynx are just going to like walk straight in. They're going to scout the Twilight Council most likely.
That's weird. That's really weird that he just, no, not thinking about a wall at all. Okay, well, I mean, the Lynx should be able to see everything.
I mean, it's kind of just because you're not really going to have the resources that fast for it, but it's still,
yeah. But to the best of my knowledge, the whole point of opening the Stalker usually is to deny the scouting. So, because you want to kill an Overlord, but otherwise you would just open a depth so that you can take your third base. But
so this isn't 100% revealed just yet for Kane though, because he's going to see Twilight Council and he sees a Robo. He does not see the Dark Shrine, and this could still look like it's going to be some Resonating Glaive attack. It could be a bunch of gateways being added on. I think that Kane's really going to want to keep an eye out for a third base, most importantly right now, and just see what things are shaping up as. But it's not 100% Kane has seen everything.
Yeah, it also doesn't have to be like a DT drop anyway. Like this will most likely, I mean, you usually test the water with the DTs, but your focus here is normally like a DT drop, try to get, or excuse me, Archon drop. And that's a very powerful way to put pressure onto a Zerg player. I think Kane does not, he's not like crazy one-dimensional in this way, but like, you know, we know that he likes to open with a lot of Lings versus Terran, for example. Like we didn't see like Roach Warren or anything like that in the early game, but it's not like he's going to shy away from Roaches in CVP. So he plays what he believes is best in each situation, and Roaches can be really good at dealing with this sort of setup. He's getting spores in every base in the lair, not too worried about it. Oh. He's going to see the Prism now.
Spotting the Warp Prism is huge, because if you can identify the angle that the units are going to come in from, it makes it a lot harder for the DTs to actually get damage on, because now the Lings are going to be there. Sometimes you can actually be really cheeky and smart, and you can actually pick off the Spore Caller with the 4 DTs before the units get there, before an Overseer comes out, but you're just going to get some damage done on, looks like, on some of the Lings, pick up the DTs, change into Archons most likely soon. But I love when Protoss players would do this and they would actually attempt to go in with the DTs and not just always assume that the Zerg player will be prepared.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
second War Prism. Oh, he's doing the 4. He's doing
the Roddy Prism.
The 4 Archon drop. I love seeing Protoss players do this. And Zeal, if there's one thing you really have to credit him for, I do think that he has some really solid micro. That's why he was known as such a good all-inner back in the day. And you need good micro for this.
Yeah, this is a bold way to do it. I mean, these DTs really, he needs to get that Prism over there, because these guys are gonna
well, the Prism was still in warping mode, so he's gonna end up losing a majority of those DTs.
That's pretty painful. I mean, the Archons are here doing a little bit.
He lost one of them.
Lost one of the Archons?
Yeah, he lost one of them to the Roaches. That's really not great.
This is a pretty good start for Kane. You have a Protoss with no third base. His DT/Archon drop completely shut down. Not really lose a whole lot to it. I mean, he wants to get around a drones out most likely, but we can see that this is, it looks like he's just going to follow this up with another Immortal Archon push, which we saw earlier.
You kind of have to at this point, right? What are you going to do? Try and take a third base at 3 minutes with 0 gate, or like what, 2 War Prism, or sorry, 2 Depths at home? Yeah, I guess you kind of just try and take this and you try to continue to harass. That's all you can really do at this point. Yeah. He does keep the War Prisms alive.
He needs to find a way to get some value out of the rest of the units that he has. I mean, the double Archon drop is certainly one way to try. Having that many Archons on the field is also nice too, because it's like you have a better way to deal with the Spire tech that's going to come out. What are you doing with your Prism? Don't move it too far away. Don't move it too far away. On the right side. I thought he was going to go into the main base. I'm like, oof.
Oh, no. Still waiting around for that second Archon. Still has one Archon over here on the third, but this is the problem. At this point in the game, you have enough units to actually split up between both the main and the third, so you can look for little pickoffs over here, but Zeal is not going to find quite the amount of damage that he would have been able to find earlier on in the game if he'd been able to keep all those units alive and continue harassing during that sort of downtime period of the last minute or so. But the Gateway Flood is starting to finish up. We got Charge on the way with the third base almost finished up. It's still not done at almost the 8-minute mark. This is yeah, it hurts.
At the very least, Kane hasn't gotten a fourth base yet, so it's like, it's something, kind of, not really, but...
The mutas on the way, though, do complicate things, right? Because now, yes, the Archons can kill the mutas if the mutas get a little too overeager, but they can also still chase down the Warp Prisms. And as long as there's like a roach buffer on the ground, the Warp Prisms just, they cannot do and continue this harassment.
Yeah, this situation gets weird. Okay, he's getting more DTs, presumably for those Archons. Okay. As his charge finishes up, too. Immortal Charge, Lot Archon, very strong, powerful unit composition. All right. 2 prisms make their way over.
Mutas flying across the map. They're going to catch some of these Warp Prisms, or the Warp Prisms. Yeah, they got the Archons, though, so not going to be too afraid of that.
That is one way to deal with mutas. Imagine getting prism speed and just having four prisms, or 2 full of Archons.
That is a very micro-intensive way to deal with the mutas.
Very high supply way as well.
Yeah.
Well, those Archons didn't quite reach it.
They didn't quite reach it, but they do push back the mutas without taking too much damage. The other funny thing is, in the most recent Legacy of the Void patch, shield batteries versus low muta counts is actually just, it's hilarious to watch. It's really, really funny to watch.
Shield batteries versus anything when they have energy, unless you have your whole army there. Shield batteries have amazing healing rate. There's the Guardian Shield as Zeal tries to make his way forward here. I think not having the prisms with this army is definitely going to hurt. He could use those extra Archons right now, as well as maybe a warp in of reinforcements.
But I think he's actually starting to do some really good damage here. Some more Zealots coming forward, denying the +1 melee attack. Now, finally, the mutas come forward.
Now he really needs the Archons, though. Gets a good bile on the sentries. The one with Guardian Shield is still up. There we go. They're going to come back here and try to deal with that. The Archons should be able to handle the mutas.
It looks like he has more than enough over here. The 4th base is trying to come up over on the bottom left-hand side. But
Zeal the Madman.
5 Immortals in the mix. You got 3 Archons. The muta count has already been dwindled down. It's all just about roaches now, but I don't even know that Kane actually has enough of an economy to make this work. He's just pulling the drones, but pulling the drones versus Archons, Nate.
This was a really amazing, well-executed strategy. I mean, the start of the game really did not deliver on this, and I was not sold on it by Zeal. Like, okay, you did something here, you did something there, but I guess he slowed down the drone production enough, and it's like, yeah, well, you made this weird muta switch, but I was already planning on pushing with 4 or 5 Archons, which makes mutas useless anyway.
Yeah, the muta switch is weird, because, like, again, I understand the idea that you're going to shut down the Warp Prism from just maneuvering around and trying to buy a lot of space while you go for this big push out across the map, maybe. But it's still, there's 4 Archons, or I guess 3 Archons out on the map at the time. It's still a really, really rough position to actually try and make that work. So I agree with you. I'm kind of with you, and I feel as though Zeal did really execute that later end of this stuff really well. But I still feel that Kane... The Spire was a little bit questionable.
It's very difficult when the Protoss player focuses on building those units that are very difficult to deal with for Zerg. Just during all of this, he's like, well, Charge Zealots are just good, so there's no reason for me not to use them as my mineral dump. But I'm just going to build Immortals nonstop after those 2 Warp Prisms, and he pushed with like 5 or 6 Immortals. Extremely hard to deal with, considering that Kane's lair tech was mutas, and you'd be normally be like, yeah, well, I mean, Immortals can't shoot up, but it actually takes mutas a while to kill the Immortals, and naturally, because he opened with Archons, like, do I say more?
Yeah, I guess there's also the aspect of if the mutas are going into the main base or something, and the Warp Prism and the Archons are still on the other side of the map harassing, then maybe the mutas are actually getting some damage done, because then the Archons aren't there to help defend. There's only really Zealots and Immortals on the ground. I can see worlds and ways this can work. But I do think that it was a bit of a risk, and it didn't really pay off for Kane. Whereas I feel as he had done such a great job defending, I don't know that he needed to take a big risk.
Yeah. Well, he never got the 4th up either, and the drone count on the 3rd wasn't ridiculously high.
He was only at 55 for the whole game, it felt like,
He built a lot of units to deal with the double prism, and granted, against 2 Warp Prisms, that's what you would need to build a significant
against a Protoss player with no 3rd, it kind of makes sense you'd want to.
Yeah, but...
Okay, well, acid plan for game 2. Yeah.
Good play by Zeal. Zeal has a very specific way. The way that he plays builds. I feel like I'm watching Rotterdam stream right now. Like, this is
He's very targeted with these kind of aggressive plays, and he's very good at kind of finding little advantages and ways to weasel his way in. And sometimes it doesn't work out, but even in those situations, his like follow-up attacks or his follow-up plays oftentimes can find ways to get the damage done.
Yeah. All right, we're going to load into the next game. It's going to be on Acid Plant for this best of 3. Let's see if our Protoss can close things out and get himself into the playoffs for Challenger, or if he will be defeated by his Zerg foe. In the bottom right position, as the Blue Protoss leading 1-0, he is Zeal. He qualified for Challenger by beating No Regret, by the way, who he also defeated today. That's a cool fact.
Very fitting. Spawning up here on the top left-hand corner of the map from Infinity Gaming, he is Kane. Kane was the winner of the original Shoutcraft America, wasn't he?
I think so.
Yeah.
Played pretty well. He's pretty good. Kane's a pretty good StarCraft player, can I say. He's just been gone for a little while, and you know, there's like some things that don't really leave you, like the, you know, some of like the tenacity. Actually, some of the micro, if you can do it, you actually pick that up pretty fast. It's getting into like the muscle memory of your injects and making sure that you're sending your overlords to the right place on every map.
It sometimes frustrates me when I see a player that says that they haven't played StarCraft or something. Like a pro player when they say they haven't played for like a month and a half. And then you watch them play, you're like, you don't look like you haven't played for a month and a half. It's like, oh yeah, it's just, I just need to play.
Well, you can definitely
a little bit.
feel it. I mean, I'm nowhere near close to pro, but even just like being in Grandmaster League, like if you take a week off, you're like, God, I don't know how to play this game. You need a solid, 8 hours of ladder before you even feel comfortable again. So some of the travel that these pros have to do as well, like,
oh yeah,
throws off the practice a while. I can't imagine going away from this game for over a month, let alone a year, and then coming back to it. I don't know. That's weird. The thought of not playing StarCraft for over a month is kind of terrifying.
I mean, it's been a little bit of your life, right? It has a somewhat small impact on your life, maybe shaping a little bit of it.
Yeah.
Maybe.
StarCraft is kind of an important part of my life. I don't know what on earth would happen if I was like, I'm just not going to play for 3 months. And goodness, the shame of myself not being able to play, how bad I would be the most unbearable.
There you go, man. Okay, well, we do have Pro just moving around, looking for a potential third base coming down at some point, and he is going to actually spot out the drone moving over. He's going to try and do some nice blockage. At the same time, he's also going out for that good old Stargate opening, so going more back to traditional openings.
Yeah, and I don't mind that one bit.
Yep.
Get in the Adept, you can do a little scouting, maybe put on a little bit of pressure, force out some lings. And then the Stargate opening is always good versus Zerg. Phoenix can kill overlords, Void Rays can defend against any sort of early big push with like roaches and whatnot. But more so, it's the Oracle. You can kill workers, scout, the Revelation. Revelation is, if you're not the Protoss using it, probably one of the most frustrating abilities in the game. That thing has insane range. Thing is the largest. It is maybe a nuke is bigger AOE. But the Revelation tags everything in its path. It's basically like a scan nuke on the army that lasts for a while.
I can feel the salt emanating from the saliva.
I love it.
As you're like, the range on it.
Well, it doesn't. It's not as big a deal.
Nah,
it's not as big a deal for Terrans versus Protoss. But when I was playing Protoss versus Zerg, using Revelation on like Hydras is just like, yep, you can't split these units up because they suck.
I would be lying if I didn't say that. When I use Revelation sometimes, I'm always just like, oh, I tagged that too? Really? Oh, yeah. I didn't.
My favorite is that you can tag the rocks, and then it's like, if you walk by the rocks, I know that. All right.
My favorite is when you Revelation a building, and then someone plants down a building next to it. So you didn't Revelation that building, but you get to see it because you got one range of vision.
It's good times. It's good times.
All right, well, Overlord is, of course, going to notice that the Phoenix just massacred it, so it's going to know that there is, in fact, that Oracle Phoenix opening. You got the Robo follow-up, a Forge as well. Zeal looking like he wants to play a very normal-looking PvZ so far.
I was going to say, if he'd just gone the Twilight and the Robo, I'm like, maybe he could still go into the Zealot build out of this, because a lot of people will go Stargate into the Mega Zealot all-in, but the Forge definitely tells a different story, as this Oracle is just going to try to microwave the larva and the drones here as that queen gets picked up once more.
Yeah, finding little bits and pieces of damage, probably not actually for all of the Oracle energy and stuff that he utilizes there. I guess maybe not finding as much damage as he might have hoped, but still 2 drone kills and not really taking any damage. He's still going to be pretty happy with that.
Yep, these adepts are going to come out. Very standard. I think it's usually you see like what? You usually do see around like that 3 to 4 adept push out towards the third base, plant the Nexus. You leave 1 at home or a Zealot if you built a Zealot at the start of the game to block the entrance, and then you take that Nexus.
Yep.
Boom, boom.
Okay.
Very straightforward as you were putting it for PvZ opening out of Zeal.
Yeah, and Kane is going to be the one that's actually making a decent number of roaches. He's sitting on 53 workers as well. This is potentially going to lead into some aggression and try and maybe do some damage to a third. He might be expecting a potential attack at some point, and I mean, there is Blink coming out? Blink, okay.
Yeah, shaking things up here. I was expecting to see him go for probably like charge a lot of Mortal Archon in some way or another, because he made it look really good in the games that he's played it so far. But the Immortal is definitely the important thing to take into account, because we do have a lot of roaches being added into this, and if he continues to just produce those, it will be very nice. These adepts find their way into the main. They're going to grab themselves 4 drones.
Yep.
Before they, did they teleport out or they both died? I think they both died.
Yeah. Well, no, they're both in the Warp Prism, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Good use of the Prism. Shade back to the corner and then pick up. Nice.
Yeah, I can dig it. Man, I have got to say, it's been a while since I've seen a PvZ that really goes into a much faster blink before Resonant Enclaves or Charge or anything. I wonder if this is going to be something Kane has seen a whole lot of on the ladder, because this is definitely not a super popular thing, but Kane may not actually care because he's just been making non-stop roaches in these Ravagers. The Phoenix does scout out a lot of this stuff, and remember, those force fields from Zeal have been very on point today. We're going to wait and see. Will they still be as on point?
This is going to be a crucial moment as Kane tries to push away this ramp. If he could peel this army in half, it'd be so nice, but instead the Biles hit the Immortal. They hit some of the sentries, and Kane gets himself into a pretty good position. One of those Immortals already dead. The other one has to pull back. The Stasis Trap actually catches quite a few. He moved back into range of that shield battery, too, which is somehow, yeah, that's turning the tides here. That's
and Blink is finished up, so he can actually, if he really wants to, he can actually start blinking on top of some of these units and picking them up, and there it is. He does the aggressive blink forward. I think that the Stasis Trap is about to wear off. There's a drone in here as well.
Drone, one droney boy left.
He's going to make it out?
No, no chance. It's weird.
Or
the AI doesn't try to. Yeah. I'll turn into an extractor before I die. It's like that doesn't actually do anything. It's a waste of 25 minerals. Like I don't care.
Well, the Phoenix is going to move forward. I love this. Just getting some scouting information. He sees, okay, now your Hydroden's coming down. You are still making a couple of more units out here on the middle of the map, but I do know that you're trying to transition out to some degree at least. So he's going to say, okay, I need to make sure I hold off against the continued aggression, but all I need to do is hold off against it, and I will have a stronger follow-up here than you do.
Yep, and Colossus, too. We don't see those versus Zerg very often. I mean, the Hive, right? Usually you get a couple of those. Ooh, nice force fields here. So usually you get a couple of those Vipers, and then the Colossus becomes extinct.
Yeah. Okay, well, with the Colossus getting ready to come on out and +2 weapons also on the way.
I feel like I'm watching like MC or Puck from like 2014 right now. Just like Blink Stalker, Colossus.
I'm telling you, man, Zeal, this is Zeal's home base, his home territory. Blink Stalkers, and I would say just like the old 2-base push, but now in Legacy of the Void, it's kind of like for him became maybe like the 3-base push. He still has not taken the gas guys as third. There, finally, he's actually taken them.
Yeah, I was gonna say he didn't get charged, so he can't just sit there with nothing and spam Zealots. We already saw Zeal try to win a big fight with just slow Zealots against Moss. It didn't go very well, as I recall.
Could have gone a little bit better. Oh, Phoenix, get a scout out the Hydras, moving across the map.
150 mineral, 100 gas scout.
Yeah, I was going to say, it would be nice if he had kept it around a little bit longer, because he could have moved into the main base and scouted out the Lurker Den.
Yeah, I'm wondering where the revelation is, man. That's what I want to see. I want to see some tags on that army.
That's all going to stasis traps to catch
really
drones.
Likes his stasis traps, I guess, but, I mean, I consider this a pop some tags situation.
Yeah, I think, especially after losing the Phoenix, I really wouldn't hate to see some
Kane's fourth, by the way, feels extremely late in this situation. just doesn't really have, after that big push that he made, because he didn't kill him, it's like, well, now you've been on even base with the Protoss for a while. No Zerg ever wants to be in that situation, especially considering that Zeal's had quite a bit in upgrades, too.
Yeah, I mean, well, he was very committed to trying to, if not end the game, do some serious damage over with the third, and when he just didn't get it done, it's like, you're playing from a pretty far behind situation. So the Lurker tech, I won't say it's a Hail Mary, it's not quite that bad, but it certainly is a bit of a hope and pray, like, I think I can survive long enough to get out enough Lurkers. And we've seen a game where Zeal punishes No Regret because the Lurkers, oh boy.
You know,
that is really cute.
I never thought about it, but putting your stasis trap there, it's a full wall.
Yeah, I think it happened in, there was a GSL or something also where that happened, and it was like, wow, I've seen so many more Protoss players doing that.
I actually haven't seen that.
The one thing that I've noticed though, I tried doing this once. A Zerg player had mutas. They did that. They trapped me out of my own main base in my natural.
Where's your recall, man?
It was on cooldown.
Damn.
Because I go mass blink DTs.
You guys can teleport your whole army back home across the map, and the mutas still got you, and that's rough.
Yeah, man.
All right, well, there are a lot of Lurkers, as
Lurkers
you
are not
said.
getting tagged, though. The Revelation is here, and there's the magnificent Revelation on every single unit.
Most of those Stalkers have been brutalized by now. The Immortals are out of their shields. The Archons come up. They're the last big tanks left. Warping of Zealots comes in. Thankfully, charge is done for Zeal this time, so he can bring the full might of his Protoss force. And oh, like this, he's hitting a nice little flank at the same time.
This typical moving at the front and attack with 3 Stalkers and 2 Zealots on the other side of the map.
Classic. If you do it with 2 Stalkers, you actually can't win the game. It has to be those 3 Stalkers.
It's actually being surprisingly effective. They've almost killed the Hydra Den, and they are drawing quite a few Roaches out of position, but I mean, at this point, Kane just doesn't have the supply to deal with things anymore.
Yeah, I think that the Lurker tried to burrow.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, Revelation's over, but still, you're dead.
Yeah, I mean, this was really, really well done by Zeal. Very well executed, and he gets to move on to the playoffs.
Definitely, that game Zeal was just like, I'm actually going to play straight up StarCraft against you. And Kane's like, I'm ready for the attack. And the attack didn't come. Kane's like, I'm going to attack you. And then he died.
Yeah. It's kind of a silly explanation for it, but yeah, that's very similar to what actually ended up happening. Zeal had some really good micro moves also in that game, be able to deal with, I mean, we were pointing out the stasis trap to trap in the Ravager, preventing anything from running straight on into the natural.
The drone kills with the Oracle at the start.
The drone kills with the Oracle. He had even had some of the stasis traps that were helping to defend there. He's had really on-point force fields the entire day. The Warp Prism, just really, really solid, I would say, tactics. Constantly being used, like micro tactics.
This makes me even more now, because I wanted to argue with him earlier. He's not here to fight with me. I wanted to argue with In Control more about like this weird thing that happened in the PvT matchup. And I'm like, man, now even more, I'm like, In Control was just right. It's like, why didn't he just do something else in that series against Masa? Because it looked like he had a pretty decent amount of range versus Zerg, but I guess against Terran, he was just not feeling it.
Yeah, sometimes it gets a little weird, I guess, with that stuff. But yeah, you guys can see here are all the matches that we got to play out today for the North American group. We had some pretty solid games from Masa overall. I mean, maybe looking a little shaky here and there, but for the most part, he was able to close stuff out, advance on with a solid 4-0. You had No Regret, who did a good job for the most part. He was able to take some games here and there, but unfortunately was not able to advance out of Challenger. Got knocked out by both Kane and, of course, Zeal.
Yeah, bam, really good set of games. I think this makes the Kane Zeal story definitely saved today's NA group. As No Regret, I think, disappointed, and Masa did what we expected.
Yeah. I mean, I really enjoyed Zeal versus No Regret. That was a good series for me.
Yeah.
In Control was in pain from it, but I was enjoying it.
Yeah, In Control is he came back. I remember he needed like Pepto-Bismol or something after that. It was rough. It was rough, guys.
Yeah. But ladies and gentlemen, if you guys enjoyed the broadcast, and I hope you did, you should be sure to check out more of all the WCS Challenger broadcasts coming on up in the next couple of days. We got another group tomorrow with Group B. We got Group C coming in on Saturday, and Group D coming in on Sunday. And man, I am really looking forward to NA Group D.
Group
you guys
D.
were talking about it before. It's the Americas group, which pains me, but it's also one of the most hyped groups for me ever. Neeb, M. Canning, you got Jon Snow, and the last player. Oh my God, who was it?
Dun, 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 dun.
Are you waiting and testing? I was like, it's another American player. I'm feeling bad for forgetting, but I just remember it was like, Epic. Epic is also a really, really good, talented player. He's like the guy that I thought was going to be Neeb, and then he just didn't care as much about StarCraft as Neeb.
And then he didn't switch to Protoss like Neeb did.
Yet. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, big congratulations to all the players that did manage to make it out today. We had Cyril, we had Namshar, we had Masa, and of course we have Zeal. But
nice.
4 more players will advance out tomorrow.
This is all happening a lot faster than normal too. We're going to be getting to the finals for this by next week because Valencia is it's less than a month away now.
Yeah, it's coming up really, really soon. So, ladies and gentlemen, please don't go anywhere. Well, I mean, go check out some more StarCraft now. We're done for today.
The stream is done. You can go somewhere else.
But be close to your computer for tomorrow for more WCS Challenger. All right, we'll see you guys tomorrow.